Lesson 13. We're going to start talking about angles that are on a coordinate grid, so on an X, Y grid. Today we're just going to kind of talk about those angles, and then we're going to talk about some more specific ones coming up in future lessons. So, essential question, how can we extend trig ratios to angles that are greater than 90? So we're going to go above or beyond 90 degrees. Success criteria, I can find measures of an angle in standard position. I can find its reference angle and positive and negative coterminal. So we're going to be able to, we need to be able to sketch angles, but then also if we're given a sketch, kind of estimate it. And then we're going to talk about reference angles and coterminal, what those mean, how to find them. So you're going to hear about angles that are in standard position. That means that one side is on the positive x-axis. That's called the initial side. So that's where we start measuring. The vertex is at the origin at 0, and then the other side is called the terminal side. And if we measure in this direction, that's positive. We can also measure in the other direction. So we could go this way. Whoa, that's terrible. And that would be a negative angle. So if we go from here, if we go up, that is positive. If we go down, that is negative. And so we start counting at 0. This is 0 degrees right here. As we go around a full rotation, so it would make a full circle, right? You know that a circle is 360 degrees if we come all the way around. And then from there, we're going to divide it up. So we have 4 what are called quadrants. Each of these are a quadrant. So we're going to divide 360 by 4, and each of these are 90 degrees. So this is 0. If we make it to this y-axis, that's 90 degrees. If we get all the way over to here, plus you know that this is a right angle, right? If we get all the way over to here, that makes a straight line. That's 180 degrees. Or you could do 90 plus another 90. If we add 90 again, that's 270 down here. So these are kind of just to give you some little reference spots. So let's say they're going to ask us to graph these angles. Let's say we are graphing 300 degrees. So we're going to start at 0 right here. This is the first side of our angle, the initial side. If we go to here, that's 90. So straight up would be 90. This would be 180. If I went all the way and measured all the way down to here, that's 270. So I need to keep going past 270. Another 30 degrees. So that would be about right kind of there. I might have gone a little too far. So this angle right here is 300 degrees. B is going to have us sketch a negative angle. So that means that I'm still going to start at 0. This is still going to be my initial side. But now instead of going in this direction, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So every time we get to another axis, that's been 90 degrees. So there's 90 degrees. If I come all the way to the next one, that's another 90, which would make that 180. So that's too far because I only want to go 150. So I'm going to stop short right there. And to show which angle, because if you just leave it on the graph like this, I don't know where you went. So to show which angle, we're going to draw a little angle mark right there, this little circular line to show that starting from 0, I went in the negative direction. And then I could label it negative 150. In the delta, it can get kind of picky. I think he has you do it within 5 degrees. So you have to be a little careful. Think about what a 30-degree angle looks like, right? We've just gotten talking about 30-degree angles and 60-degree angles. So you should be kind of familiar with what those look like. C is 900 degrees. 900 degrees is way over the 360 of one circle. So that means that you're going to go around a full rotation more than once. So if I go all the way around the circle one time, that's been 360 degrees. So 900 minus 360 is 540. So I still have another 540 degrees that I need to go, which is more than another rotation. So I'm going to go a whole second rotation around. That's been another 360. So 540 minus 360. Oh, I didn't write that very well, did I? Hang on, let's fix this. It should have been 900 minus 360 equals 540. Because if I go around one time, each time I go around, that's 360. So I went around once, subtracted 360. That was still another 540 that I needed to graph. So I went around a second time. That's another 360. So I subtracted again. I still have another 180 that I need to go. So 180 is right here. So that little circular thing shows me that I went around once, I went around a second time, and then I had to go to 180 right here. So that's the sketching part. Or like I said, I could give you a sketch. So maybe I give you one like right, that's kind of a terrible one. Right there, and ask you to estimate what that angle is right there. So you would know that this is 90, this is 180, so it might be like 115 or 120. You would estimate this angle right here. Then we're going to talk about coterminal angles. So co means two, right? Like if you're co-captains, you're both captains, there are two captains. Terminal angle means the terminal side is where your angle ends. This is called the terminal side. So we are finding multiple angles that have that same side. So here's an example right here. This is a positive angle. This is the negative angle. They both get me to the same spot. Those are coterminal. So coterminal angles have the same terminal side. Okay, write a little note to self in here. To find them, you just add or subtract 360. And you might have to do it more than once, depending on what the angle is. So example 2, we're supposed to find one positive and one negative coterminal angle. So 40 degrees is about right there. To find a positive, I could go all the way around once, that's 360. So all the way around once would be 360, and then go another 40. So we're going to add 40, and that would be 400 degrees. So 40 degrees and 400 degrees are at the same spot on the graph. I also need a negative. So I could go from 40 and I could back up. So if I was at 40 right here, if I went in the negative direction, all the way around once would get me to that same spot. So I could do 40 minus 360 is negative 320. I probably shouldn't leave that on there because it looks like that angle is 320. So from here to here, it's going down, so measuring negative 320. For 420, so if I went all the way around the circle once, remember that's 360, right? So that's already over 360. I could add another 360 again and get another positive coterminal angle. That would be 780 degrees. But when I try to find the negative one and I subtract 360, I get positive 60. So it's still a positive answer. I haven't gotten a negative coterminal. I have gotten a coterminal. They do end at the same spot. 420 and 60 are on the same spot on the graph, but I need a negative one. So I'm just going to do it again. I'm going to subtract 360, which is one full time around the circle. I'm going to subtract it again, which would be, did I do that right? Nope, I did not write that right. Not 420, because I already got down to 60. So 60 minus 360 is negative 300 degrees. So one full rotation is 300. You are just going to add 360 or subtract 360. Sometimes you have to do it more than once till you get a positive and a negative. So you want to try these two. This would be a great moment for you to stop and practice and see how it goes. Okay, if you're back, I'm not even going to graph these. Negative 600, you could if you wanted. So I'm going to add 360 and get negative 240. That means that negative 600 and negative 240 are at the same place on the graph. They are coterminal. That is a negative angle. So I want to get to a positive one. That means I'm going to add 360 again. Equals positive 120. Now there is not one right answer. I could have subtracted 360 and found another one. I could add 360 again and find another one. There is not one correct answer. There are an infinite number of coterminal angles. For negative 230, if I add 360 degrees, that's 130. So there's a positive coterminal angle. I need a negative one. If I add 360 again, it's just going to get bigger. So to get my negative coterminal, I'm going to subtract 360. So I get negative 590. So there's a positive and a negative angle. They're at the same place on the graph as the original one I was given. Okay, and then the last one, a reference angle. A reference angle is a positive angle, acute positive angle. So let's do, can I fit this all in? Acute positive angle formed by the terminal side and the x-axis. So if you graph it, you're always finding the distance to the closest x-axis. Okay, remember this is your x-axis. So how far away is your angle from that axis? So 150, we have to sketch them. We do need to sketch these first. So remember, here's 0, 90, 180, 270. 150 degrees would be about right here. Okay, here is the x-axis. So how far is it from 150 to the x-axis? From 150 to 180, that is 30 degrees. One of the biggest problems is people find this angle right here. They go from 90 to 150, but it's always to that x-axis. So let's try another one. Negative 130. So this time I'm going to go in the negative direction. This would be 90. So I got to go beyond 90 over here. That's negative 130. If I continued all the way to the x-axis, that would be negative 180. Okay, so here's the x-axis. What's the distance from my angle, negative 130 to negative 180? It has to be positive. It has to be positive because we're talking distance. How far apart are those two numbers? 50 degrees. Okay, so we want to pause and try a couple. Try these last two. 280. So 0, 90, 180, 270 would be right there. So 280 is just a little bit beyond 270. There's 280. And like I said, people will find this angle right here and they'll say 10, done, 10. It is to the x-axis. How far to the x-axis? What is this distance right here? So remember, if we finish that circle out, it's 360 degrees. From 280 to 360, how far is that? That is 80 degrees. And this last one, 0, 90, 180, 270. 300 would be right there. So here's the x-axis. How far away from that axis is my angle? What is that distance right there? From 300 to a full rotation of 360, that is 60 degrees.